recently in England, early edition of, I believe it was The Hobbit, was found and auctioned off for £10,000 to £20,000.
What's that in real money?
As far as I know, it's like $20,000 to $40,000. I haven't looked at what the pound is going for right now.
More than US dollar.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Gnollcast. My name is Gregory. This is the Gnoll. And today we're going to talk about the value of books. What's the most valuable book you own and is actually worth money? And then just that some books are worth more to others and some are priceless to others. So,
and that's part of it. Is it's not necessarily are books worth money. It's how is a book worth to you? How is a book worth to a store? Or how is a book worth to a collector? There's a variety of different metrics that go into determining a value for each book. If it's something your parents read to you as a child, you may put in a lot more emotional value on it than a second edition, Hobbit or something like that. Again, that's going to be for each of us to decide.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the different types of value that a book can have. Market value, obviously, what the value is on the market to the collectors. People are investing in books or physical media in general. The edition value, so print history, how many of those are printed, when they were printed, how many editions there are. Aesthetic value, so design and craftsmanship. I mean, especially now more than I've seen in the past, that books are coming out that they look pretty. I mean, they've got a lot of different things that people enjoy seeing aesthetically, and it adds value to the book for the person versus the market. And then what Mo was talking about, nostalgic value. So obviously there's nostalgia behind books that you've read growing up, or books that you found or books that you read in a certain point in your life that meant a lot to you, and that adds a lot of value, whether that's monetary or sympathetic value. So we're going to talk a little bit about some examples of all those types of books, and then some tips and tricks to help you value books. That are they actually valuable, or they just look cool, I guess.
Well, and also want to, for those people who are looking to see about what can they do in order to try and, I know there are some people out there who collect and aim to get, I want first editions of everything I can find, or I want only hardbacks in my collection. We want to try and point you in a direction to help you be a little more educated about what is available in terms of books, what's available in terms of people collecting, and also hopefully encourage you to take some chances, especially some of these indie authors that are running Kickstarters or running small print runs. If you're looking for a valuable book, that's a great way to play the market if that's something you're interested in.
Yeah, especially if you want to do that as an investment, which, I mean, books are definitely an investment. If you look at those Kickstarters and small print runs, I mean, they're only going to become more valuable, especially if that author becomes big. If that book becomes big, there's a lot of opportunity for that book to gain monetary value over time. And I mean, that's a good investment for either you in the future or your children or your grandchildren. I mean, we talk about a couple times in a couple of our episodes about physical media becoming prevalent again, but obviously there was a time where people just didn't either care about it or weren't collecting it, and now it's becoming a scarcity, so the value is going up.
Yeah, I mean, and for instance, let's start off with first edition versus printing runs. Dungeon Crawler Carl is a great example of this. Matt Dinneman actually started off self-publishing, self-printing his books, and they were released as paperbacks. The original covers, the original additions to those I'm seeing them on for sale anywhere from $800 to $2,000, just because he is blown up as a creator. There is a limited amount of them. So that's like I said, one of the reasons I would encourage people to take some chance on indie authors and looking at some other things. But looking at, say, the hardback edition that's been released, this is a first edition of Dungeon Caller Carl. That being said, it is also a 14th printing of it. It has had to be reprinted. It's been ordered so many times that this one is 14th. I think at home I have 9th or 10th edition or 10th printing. Finding a first edition, first printing is going to be a little bit difficult. There have been so many of these books sold, but because there is a limited print run, say 5, 10,000, 25,000, there's only so many of these books available out in the world. And as time goes on, life happens to them, nature happens to them. There's a lot of chance for damage. There's, again, stuff that is kept in good condition, stuff that is maintained and taken care of is going to have an inherent value in terms of monetary value compared to what is going on with books that get older or worn down.
Do they make changes between print runs sometimes, like editing?
It is a rarity, but occasionally, yes. If things like misprints are noticed or things like the misprinting can cause, the same with, say, coin collecting or stamp collecting. Those oddities, again, can make value. And right now we're seeing in books a little bit similar to where comics were in the late 90s, early 2000s, where cover design and editions are being put out for all kinds of different pieces. There's collector's editions, there's special editions, there's a variety of different pieces. But if you're really looking to try and get maximum value out of something, you're either going to be looking at, say, a first edition low print run, or you're going to look for, say, an extreme special edition that has, again, a very low print run. The amount of books that are available in the world for that is part of what is going to give it value. That being said, how do you get value out of it? I mean, how do you get money out of your books if that's what you're looking to do? We're going to talk about that after a little bit. We do want to go ahead and educate you guys and help with describing some of the different options and stuff, what you could be looking at in terms of what is available for books out there.
Yeah, especially in an investor market, you look for things like publishers will post like first edition or first print on certain things when it's actually, like you said, the 14th print of a specific edition. So spotting kind of that marketing terminology versus actual value is important.
Right now, with our print technology, print on demand has never been easier. So small print runs are easier to do. Also things like we've added sprayed edges to titles now and stuff for special editions such as this. Or we've even gone further and are doing embossing on dust jackets. The sprayed edges is actually just a straight print, basically think of it as an inkjet almost, sprayed on the sides to give us a design or a picture. And in some cases, not this one in particular, you can get designs even further into the edge so that when bent and turned to sides, you can actually see different images. So, like I said, that there's some gorgeous books out there in terms of what people are looking for, what people are wanting to get. We got a bit of a there. That being said, you have to decide for yourself what it is. Why are you after these books? Are you after, say, I just want to read the book? For myself, that's often the case. I don't much care in If it's a mass market paperback that intrinsically has no value outside of I get to read the book or say a first edition.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of benefit obviously to mass market production books. Like one, it drives the cost down on being able to read books that you want to read, which is beneficial, especially if you read a lot of books or collect a lot of books. That is more of a personal value versus monetary value, which is perfectly fine. There's a lot of people like that. Like, Gnoll wants to just read the book. He's also got a massive library at home, so having books that look good on that shelf are not bad either. But yeah, there's definitely a place for mass market production books. And most books do have some sort of mass market publication at some point for that audience. But then there's also books that have been around for a long time that go back into reprint, that come out with those special editions with the special binding. They do leather-bound binding. They do special sleeves that create images all together in a box set. Perfect example right now is Red Rising. This is a book that's been around for quite a while by Pierce Brown. And they just started doing, they're called sleeved editions. So it actually comes in a box sleeve, the individual book. So the book itself is pretty and the sleeve itself is pretty.
And in like this instance, they've added new paintings, new artwork to, again, spruce up the title, to give you additional materials that weren't ever originally available.
Yeah, this is definitely a prime example of somebody who probably has nostalgic value for the book itself. They either have a special edition or they have a book or like a mass market production print of this book, and they loved it so much that they want to show it off. And this is one that you definitely show off on your shelf. And there's a market for that. That's why publishing companies have done things like this and are doing, I feel like they're doing it a lot more than they used to.
They are definitely doing a lot more. And some of it is a little bit more genre specific. Like romance titles in particular right now are seeing a lot of sprayed edges, make the book as pretty as possible. Which
Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah, well, and that's like, my personal collection, I am missing the first edition of the original Throne of Glass book. That's it. I have first editions of everything else. If I end up picking that last book up eventually, which I'm aiming to do, actually, now that I realize how close I am to having first editions on that, the set is going for $800 to $1,000. Yeah. And it's like, but again, I ended up picking those up just as they were releasing because I enjoyed the books. And it's one of those things where you can stumble into, if you're trying new authors, if you're trying stories that you're not necessarily sure about, you can stumble into the value of a book outside of just the emotional value. You can surprise yourself and find that, hey, I've held this book for 15, 20 years. Not a lot of people are looking for it. The author is blown up, has an amazing set of work, but more people want to know about some of their older works. Right now, I'm looking at a first edition. It's anywhere from about $100 to $175 just for the first book. So,
do you think that books that look pretty will hold value long term?
That is going to be the question. I think that there is going to be value in it, but again, part of that is going to depend on, say, print runs. Mm-hmm. The scarcity ultimately is what leads to value. And,
a lot like the market, like the stock market, like you can have limited run stocks that you can get on and they'll increase in value. But I think one of the issues that I'm worried about as far as books that look pretty is right now the value of them is going to be high. Like there's a lot of demand for it. People are excited about it. People want it. People crave it. What happens when people don't care anymore? Like that's the biggest concern. Like obviously there will still be some value in it, but that's really what holding on to the book for a certain amount of time. Obviously there's some books that will hold value for the rest of time because they're that valuable. And there's some books that look very pretty.
Yeah. And again, part of that's going to be what's resonating with the culture, with communities, with ultimately, I think the biggest thing to take away is, by all means, buy books.
Buy books, yeah.
But there are still, so we have special editions, we have sleeved editions, we have first editions, we have printings of editions. So then if we do, there's also options, and this is going to be less common now, just because I don't know if book clubs are really around much anymore. So like we have David Eddings' Sorcerer's Star Shiva, first edition here. Then we also have a book club edition. Same work, just it's sized a little bit differently. It's made a little bit off. Book club editions are inherently considered oftentimes less valuable. We have standard edition, hardback, in this case, again, first edition, versus a book club edition, which back in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, we had book clubs. There's a sci-fi book club, which this came from, that you could get 6 books for a penny, and then they would send you, for $15, they would send you a new book every month. So that's, I'll be honest, I spent a lot of time doing that.
A fair amount of used books, actually, that even in the book club editions, like they're skewed different. So the skew doesn't match because they're different style, whether it's a different cover, different size, different print size. I mean, there's a lot of examples of that from books from the 80s and 90s for sure.
And that being said, a lot of books actually aren't necessarily put out as first edition hardbacks. It is an investment to put a book out as a hardback. We have Memories of Ice that came in. This is actually first edition for this book, and it is a rarer book. In this case, it's a little rough in places, but value-wise, normally these are going anywhere from about $300 to $200. Ours is a little bit rougher than what I would like to see sometimes, but we are pricing it at $149 just because it is a rare book. And again, paperbacks can be your first edition. Unfortunately, just like with any collectible, which is kind of what books are, for some people, are working out to be. Again, if you look at the comic book markets, if you look at the collectible card game markets, people will tell you, well, this thing is worth $300, or this is worth $10. This is worth however much a website or a price guide informs you that the price is. Well, the problem is it's ultimately only ever worth what somebody is willing to pay for it. If you're not willing, if you can't find somebody who's willing to pay your $300 for your book or your card or your comic book, guess what? It's not worth that. Even though it may be scarce, it may be one of two, or it could have, at that point, demand is part of what is going to drive that value. It doesn't matter what the actual value is listed if you can't get it sold. And if you come into a retailer such as ourselves, you're not going to get the value of whatever a website says or whatever it's selling for online. Just to be realistic with you, as a retailer, we have to be able to make profit on what it can be sold as. If we don't make profit on something, it's losing money for us. And we need to have profit in order to keep lights on, to buy new books, to continue growing, expanding, and being a place for our customers. So anytime you take something to a retailer, know and understand that it may say $300 is what it's worth, but don't be surprised if they offer $150. If they can get it sold for $300, if they can find somebody who will do it, that's great for the retailer. But if you're not willing to put in that time and that effort, just understand that retailers are a business that have to make profit. So
we could actually talk a little bit about how we price some of our used books and where we look or what we do to price these out. I think initially we can start with where we get our books from. Like we talked about a little bit in the past episode, how we buy books from our customers. That is a program that we have. We buy, and in some instances we're even consigning some books for larger collections, especially if there's a larger, rarer, more monetary value for them, which is what we're talking about. Yeah. But so obviously with our new books, we get them either direct from publisher, or we get them from wholesalers. Yeah. That was a word. And then we have a margin there that we price them at. And realistically, with our new books, we just price them what the manufacturer recommended pricing is, because our margin there is pretty minimal, especially because we are an independent bookstore. Places like, obviously, Barnes & Noble or Amazon, things like that, they have much, much, much larger purchasing capability. So they get much, much, much better pricing on books. So they're able to offer you some of those ridiculous sales and prices that you see sometimes,
which unfortunately we can't do. But as an independent bookstore, we try to, one, curate books that we're carrying. Two, we also try to make sure that we're looking out for you, the customer, and hopefully earn your trust and earn the additional dollars that we sometimes have to charge for things. So from the used book side, there's a plethora of options that we get our used books from. One of the coolest things, I think, since we've started this, for me at least, is how many books we've gotten from people that have either brought in collections to us, or we've found out in the wild and had conversations with, and they're like, hey, I've got these books. Would you be interested in checking them out? So there's been a big collection of books that we've been able to gather from people, which is pretty cool, especially when we talk about, as he mentioned a little bit ago, we're a niche bookstore in the fact that we are sci-fi and fantasy. We're not carrying everything and anything, which it's cool meeting people who are sci-fi and fantasy nerds and want to share that with everybody else, which is really cool. The other thing is obviously thrifting books. So we go to various thrift stores, not just around here, actually. Like he's found books in Kansas City and St. Louis and Houston.
It's been pretty cool seeing the books out in the wild and being able to find books everywhere. Thrift stores, garage sales, and then
library sales.
That's a big one. The nice thing about library sales is we're buying books for our business. So hopefully we'll make a profit, but we're also supporting our local library, which is important. Yes. We've supported locally the Kelowna Library. We've partnered with them, which we'll talk about here in just a minute. An event that we've got coming up soon. The Iowa City Library. The Iowa City Library has actually been pretty great, not just for the books that we found, but also for the people that we've been able to come in contact with and communicate.
And while it is always nice to have people come in and buy books, we also recognize that's not always an option. But again, this is one of the reasons for us libraries are so important to our communities. We want to make readers. The only way you're going to become a reader is to have access to books. And it's, again, not always feasible to buy all the books you want. Believe me, I know. I'm still not able to do that. But I at least now get to buy books and sell them to you. So,
Coralville Library, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, Coralville Library. There's a number of, even the Cedar Rapids Library, Solon Library, West Liberty Library. We tend to be around the Eastern Iowa libraries quite often. So, and again, we want to support them and help them out in any way you can. You will see often on our Facebook group that we're sharing events going for a lot of the libraries around here. So
we talked a little bit about how we value the new books. Obviously, there's not much margin, so we pretty much sell them for the manufacturer recommended pricing, or the publishing manufacturer or publishing recommended pricing. As far as used books, there's a lot more involved with pricing used books. We spend a lot of time getting the pictures on the website, getting all the information in the website. Actually, spend a lot of time getting all the information on the website. But the pricing is a big part of that.
There's quite a bit of research that goes into what other people are offering items for, what is currently, say, the market value of a title. From there, it becomes what will people pay for it? What condition is it in? Do we need to go under? Can we go over a little bit? I won't say that Gnoll's Loot Table is always going to be the least expensive place you can buy used books. We try to be very reasonable on everything we price. But yeah, if you go online, sometimes you can find it cheaper. But sometimes we are going to be the lowest price out there. So to me, I want our service to matter more than the cost of the book. I want what we're trying to do for our community here in Riverside, bringing business, bringing tourism, bringing people to engage in Riverside. I want that to matter more than, say, necessarily the price of a book.
Yeah, we're pretty transparent about pricing. I mean, there's a lot of different websites that allow us to see what the market value of a book is, which, I mean, is open to the public. Any of you guys can see what the value of books are. But we do a pretty good job of not just taking one source and pricing it based on that. We price our books based off of multiple sources, as well. He talked about the condition of the book. If it doesn't have skew, I mean, we spend a lot of time researching, finding books out in the wild, and sometimes that's not always the easiest, especially if they're limited edition books or limited run books. Finding that the value of those books is not always the easiest thing in the world to do.
Well, and like for older books, we've done the Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep in the past. And this is, again, first edition, doing the research on finding it. And there's the ISBNs and the identification numbers and stuff are wild and varied. So it's, a lot of times it is tracking down covers, tracking down identification marks to know which edition you have. So especially with some of our older books that are from the 50s or 60s, finding identification and knowing which editions we have can be a little more problematic. So if you are looking for monetary value from your books, there are actually a number of antique bookstores. There are a number of, this book is 200 years old. And again, you get back to the rarity, the desire for these books and stuff, and making them expensive. I think it was recently in England, early edition of, I believe it was The Hobbit, was found and auctioned off for £10,000 to £20,000.
What's that in real money?
As far as I know, it's like $20,000 to $40,000. I haven't looked at what the pound is going for right now.
More than US dollar.
Yeah, that's the type of investing you're wanting to do. There are probably going to be better locations than, say, your neighborhood indie bookstore. But that being said, we have a surprisingly large amount of first editions, or
we do actually.
Titles of, well, and again, getting new books as they come out. Say, new Matt Dinneman book just came out this week. First editions, all the ones we have in the store. If you're looking to have value in your books, sometimes it's buying them early and holding on. Just to see what it gets, see what popularity it gets, or
this is a first edition, first print, hardcover.
Yeah,
he's doing well for himself.
He is doing very well. So,
yeah, if you want to pick it up as obviously books as an investment, we kind of got like a little bit of a checklist. You can of things to look for. Obviously, the front page, the first edition page, you can or on the copyright page, you can see whether it's a first edition, what print it is. Typically, it gives you a fair amount of information.
I don't know that it's going to be visible.
Yeah, I'll post a picture of it. The things to look for, obviously, the condition of the book itself. Is the dust jacket in good shape? Does it even have one? Is it signed? I mean, we've got multiple signed books here. Can you say that?
Nope.
Okay. There's one on there. It will not break anything.
Yeah.
So an example of like the obviously the dust cover inside. There's also some things that it says sometimes. Sometimes there's artwork on the hard cover.
Yeah, and then you get other ones that have, I think you got, that come with interior pages that have artwork.
It's pretty.
So again, pretty books.
You want to look for like limited edition markings, the publisher and the year. Sometimes books will actually get picked up by another publisher, or a publisher will actually go out of business and get picked up by another publisher. So then that makes that book a little more rare because it's from a publishing company that doesn't exist anymore.
Yep.
You can look at the ISBN, just look online, see what the value is going for, whether what it's going for on eBay or Amazon or Goodreads or what are some other ones? Abe Books, Thrift Books. And the other thing too, you can also see there's some sites that will tell you what books have gone for in the past, especially if there's limited availability. That's how we've priced some of our more rare books, is we've seen what they've gone for in the past because we're the only ones who are selling them right now, which is beneficial for an investor and also beneficial for you because we've got it. But the being able to see what it's gone for in the past and kind of seeing the fluctuation of the book price is pretty cool too, because there are some books that you can see that have gone very high up in value, and then there's also some books where they were up here and then they kind of lost their luster and they kind of went down a little bit. So,
well, that being said, one thing that from us, once we price a book, it's probably going to stay there. I don't foresee us wanting to change out pricing. Yeah. So
we got too much stuff to do to be
right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard enough keeping up with pricing what we got. So you may find there is titles that are all of a sudden shot up in value thanks to things like Stranger Things, A Wrinkle in Time, the original or a cover edition that it used has gone up in value. The day after that Stranger Things episode aired, are sold online. So and we weren't pricing it. We had it priced at, I think, like $5, $6. So, and now they're all shooting for around 15. So sometimes you're going to get a deal just because we're lazy.
We're not lazy.
We have other things to do.
We have to backtrack, yeah.
But yeah, I'm not going to check the price and value of something that's already pre-marked in my store. I know there are some stores that have done that double check the price to make sure they're not getting screwed. I'm not going to say that, but that's not my place. That's not why we're here. We're here to sell books. We're here to get you to read. We're here to give you a place to find the things you want to find.
Absolutely. We kind of talked about this a little bit, but what do you think your most valuable book is?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't tend to put a lot of monetary value on my books. All my books have personal value, and my time that I spent journeying in those worlds, to me, that's priceless, and occasionally I like to go back and revisit the places I've been. So I'm not prone to getting rid of books.
Yeah. I think for me personally, like I obviously books are, especially now, like hardcovers, I mean, they're not not cheap anymore. So as far as monetary value, I don't really have any books that are crazy high in monetary value other than just they're expensive. I've got a couple books that have sentimental value for me, and therefore are more like priceless, if you will.
Right.
Book of Fate, Brad Meltzer, that was a big one for me. Especially at a time I was a young man, reading that book was a very influential book for me, and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. And I've had that in my collection for a long time. I mean, I've moved a lot in my life, and that book has always stayed with me. And another one was, I have an edition of The Hobbit that I got when I was very young. That's been with me the entire time as well. The Hobbit book itself, when I was young, was very enjoyable. I really enjoyed it. Now I still enjoy it, but not as much as I did when I was younger. And so there's definitely a joy value in there for me. And I think those are two books that have stayed with me. Obviously now I've got a whole collection of books that I get to enjoy and are continuing to enjoy and learn about. I mean, there's a whole world that I didn't even know existed for a long time. And obviously Gnoll's been around for a little while.
Welcome to the dark side.
Yeah. Gnoll's been around for a little while, and he's experienced a lot more as far as literature's gone in general. And I'm just kind of diving into this, but there's so much that I didn't know existed. And it's pretty cool seeing the value that certain things have for people, like even just the big ones like Star Trek and Star Wars. Like, I mean, there's so much value that people have just from obviously enjoying the IP of it, but also the being around people who enjoy it as well is a huge value for people.
Well, that's true, and that is part of it. I mean, books tend to promote community, and be it an individual intellectual property like Star Trek, Star Wars, Dune, or Dungeon Crawler Carl, but book people then and of themselves oftentimes gravitate towards each other as well.
What are my 3-body problem people at?
I mean, 3-Body Problem is a great series, and there is a community out there of it, I'm sure.
We just don't talk to each other.
You just don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
So some of the things we've got coming up, we do try to keep you guys appraised of what we have going on. We are continuing to do every 2 weeks our Book and Hook over at La Chiva Loc here in Riverside, Iowa. We do that from 6 to 8 p.m. It's every other Tuesday. We are currently listening to He Who Fights with Monsters. Just started that last week. And this weekend, actually Valentine's Day, we are starting our very first silent book club over at the Kelowna Public Library on Saturday morning at 9:30. This is going to be a event that anybody who's reading, it doesn't need to be sci-fi fantasy. It's just a chance to, again, get together with community to read. A time you're going to sit down, you're going to read for an hour, maybe hour and a half, and see what other people are reading, see what interests other people have in the community. So we do really encourage people, if you see this opportunity or in the Kelowna area, it's going to be the second Saturday morning of each month. We're going to make this a rotating, continuous thing for our silent book club. Then coming up in March, we have the big ass book swap.
We do.
So this is going to be in
Cedar Rapids.
Up in Cedar Rapids, Marion. Yeah. And this is an event put on by Swamp Fox Books, HEA, and a number of other independent stores. Gnoll's Loot Table. We're definitely participating in this one. This is an event put on by a number of independent bookstores, which will be there selling some items as well. But it's an opportunity for you to take... if you bring in up to 5 gently used books, the genre doesn't matter. In this case, we are a drop-off point. It's $15 to enter the swap, but you will get you can say you bring in 3 books, you'll get a wristband that shows that you can take 3 books. So you can go through, see what everyone else is bringing, find 3 books that you want to take, and go. And again, I believe we're going to end up with 6 or 7 different bookstores. They're vendoring as well, including ourselves. But if you're in the Iowa City area, Riverside, Muscatine, Lower Iowa, Washington, we are going to be a drop-off point for this. Again, it's just up in Marion, 45 minutes to an hour away. Hopefully you would join us there. Then coming up in June, we have TrekFest. TrekFest is going to be big for us. This is going to be our first year doing it. One thing we are going to be looking for, and one thing TrekFest needs as well, is people volunteering, willing to come in and help, direct traffic, to run, grab water, to just lend a hand. If it is something that you think you might be interested in doing, please shoot us a DM on Facebook or go to our website, drop us an email. Or you can also look at the RAC community page. It's RACC for Riverside Area Community Club. And volunteer. We want to be able to, this is a fairly sizable event that we want to make sure runs smoothly. And for me personally, it's always easier to enjoy an event where I'm helping out at. I have trouble just going and doing nothing at an event.
It's also a great way to save money.
Well, the other thing we actually have going on the same weekend as TrekFest, we're going to be at Planet FunkCon as well in the Quad Cities. So we're going to be busy that weekend and kind of all over the place. So again, more people helping, better off we're going to be. And finally, we just found out this morning, in fact, we will be at Anime Iowa. We're going to have 2 booths, and we're looking forward to seeing all the anime fans, hopefully by the end of July. There is a possibility of us having manga and stuff in stock. We will see. But at the worst case, we're going to show up with novels, lots and lots of novels. So I know there's plenty of geeks out there who read going to Anime Iowa. Look forward to seeing you there. Anything else you need to add?
No, I mean, the big thing we talk about a lot in all of our podcasts, we talk a lot about it everywhere in this community. We want to hear from you guys. Like obviously like, comment, subscribe on the video, but go check out all of our links at Gnoll's Loot Table or at Gnoll's Loot Table. Is most of our handles: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Obviously, the Gnoll.com is our website. You can find all of our inventory there, used and new, even pre-orders for books that are coming out. Definitely, if there's a book that you're waiting for or a author that you love, pre-order their books. It also gives us a better understanding of what you guys want in the future. And then the other part of it is going to be, I would love comments about what you guys would love to see in the future for Gnollcast. Also, would love to hear what your guys' most valuable books are. Yep. Not just monetary value, but sentimental value, or what you think the coolest edition of a book that you have.
What do you define value of a book as?
Yeah, we'd love to see it. We'd love to obviously comment the title of the book or send us pictures of some cool books that you have. Feel free to comment or post in our Instagram and Facebook and share with us what you guys find valuable as far as books go. We'd love to hear your thoughts. So.
And next month, I think we're going to try something controversial and discuss books to movies.
Yeah, so. It's kind of a big one. We've got a big, there's a big movie coming out that's by Andy Weir.
Hail Mary.
Project Hail Mary is coming out in March with Ryan Gosling. Hopefully they do it justice. But I mean, over the years, we'll talk about it next month, but there's a lot of books that have become movies that have been great and not so great. So we'll talk about those. Again,
if there's something that you'd like to see us talk about in terms of books to movies, please put it in the comments. Let us know.
Yeah.
Forward to.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Hopefully this recorded.
Yeah.